Welcome to Akron Buzz, everyone. I'm your host, Sarah. Today I get to talk with Deborah Solan. Hi, Deborah. How are you?
Good morning. I'm very well, thank you.
Good. And Deborah is an author, and she has just finished a book called Chesed, which means mercy in Hebrew. And it's a Jewish woman's discovery of God's mercy. So let's go ahead and just dive right into what the book is all about.
Sure. Thank you so much for having me on the program. The book is basically a series of anecdotal stories that have happened through the course of my life.
Okay.
I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, and I grew up with a Jewish family.
Okay.
However, we weren't very religious, but we were very strongly Jewish.
Okay. Yeah, I understand
culturally.
that. Yeah.
And so we did not go to synagogue on a regular basis, but we did, practice the Jewish holidays, and as I said, had a very strong connection culturally to Judaism.
Absolutely.
And so later in my life, I attended West Virginia University as a junior. I had transferred from an upstate, very cold school in New York, right on Lake Ontario.
Wanted some warmth?
I did. This was in the 1970s.
Okay.
And I felt very comfortable in West Virginia. It was kind of the hippie time, and I was really comfortable in that lifestyle. But I had a roommate who invited me to a prayer meeting. She would go every Tuesday. This was the beginning of the school year. And early on were the Jewish holidays, just like we're in right now.
Right now, yeah.
And she brought home apples and honey, and the group at the prayer meeting were celebrating the Jewish holidays. And I really didn't understand that because these were not Jewish people.
Right, right.
And so it really caught my attention, and I wondered what it was all about. So I ended up going to the prayer meeting the following week because I was just so curious.
Yeah.
And it was at that time, that's actually the first time I ever stepped foot into a church. And I just immediately kind of sensed a very loving, caring community, and still didn't really understand what was going on. But then individuals from the prayer meeting wanted me to come to a retreat that was happening that weekend.
Okay.
It was a spiritual retreat, and I really did not plan to attend.
Okay.
I was going to go back to Oswego, the cold school, and for the weekend. But then things started to happen that really, showed me that probably wasn't the best idea.
Okay.
And so I told my roommate that, and she said, "Well, do you want to go to this, this weekend?" And I said, "Well, I really hadn't thought about it." And she said,
Sure.
"Well, let's just pray that if God wants you to go, that He'll make it very clear." And I said, "Okay," because I really didn't believe in God.
Right.
So
I guess it
nothing
can't hurt.
to lose. The minute she stopped, that conversation, the phone rang, and it was someone who wanted to know if my roommate needed a ride, because it was on the outskirts of Morgantown, and if by chance I decided to go, if I needed a ride as well. And at that point, I felt like something way larger than myself was guiding me to go.
Nudging you to do it.
Still didn't understand it, but I did go, and again, was introduced to a loving community of people who kept talking about, their faith and finding the Lord. And I did not understand that at all. And I was a Jewish girl from Brooklyn, New York. So how could any of this relate to me? So I ended up staying up all night with the overseer of the weekend and asking question after question, because I just couldn't, it wasn't plausible.
Right.
And finally, after many hours of allowing me to express my concerns and my fears and my worries and my wonders, he opened up the Hebrew Bible to the book of Job and said, "Where were you?" This is God speaking, "when I laid the foundation of the earth and the snow on the mountains." And I was like, okay, then. I did not want to, I knew it was a matter of faith.
Yeah.
And so by the end of the weekend, as everyone was sharing their Bible verses, their favorite, I didn't know any. But I
Sure.
just basically said that I knew what happened that weekend. And I said, more importantly, I know God knows what happened.
Yeah.
That was in 1977.
Okay.
And my life completely changed because I was looking for hope and healing and forgiveness and love. And that's what I experienced through that experience. And so the book basically begins at that point.
Okay.
So it speaks to like the 1960s and the baby boomer generation and all the trauma that happened during the 1960s with the assassinations of President Kennedy, Martin Luther King, et cetera, and just all the upheaval.
Yeah.
And I find it very interesting then that I was able to write this book during a tremendous time of upheaval and
Right now.
crisis in our nation.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so that's what the book is about. It's about life stories and challenges and ways that now I look back and understand that God was pursuing me even when I did not know who he was. And what's ended up happening, Sarah, is that I have become, my Judaism has become so much more meaningful to me. Because I totally understand. You know, I believe that the God of the Hebrew Scriptures is the God of the New Testament. And so the interweaving of all of that is just magnificent. And so before my mother passed away, that's a whole different part of the story because she was very angry at my decision to become Messianic or a Jewish person who believes, in the Messiah, Yeshua. And she spent 10 years trying to disprove my faith. She went to Israel. She got a bat mitzvah in her 40s. She started going to synagogue and became the president of the sisterhood. And I knew that the Bible would show her that, in fact, the Messiah had come in Yeshua, Jesus, and that's exactly what happened. And so 10 years following my confession of faith, she did as well. And then she also shared her faith with my grandmother.
Wow.
And my grandmother also received Yeshua. And then my husband, George, and I have a 30-year-old daughter who is also a strong believer. So all of these stories and what people might interpret as coincidences are just God-driven, and how he has just completely helped me deal with, trauma in my life and life lessons that I share in this book that I try very hard to let folks know so they don't have to go as many years as I have in learning them. Because, we all experience the same thing. We all experience tragedy and sorrow and death of loved ones and, questions about life.
Yeah.
And so I just feel like God's goodness, which is why this is called Chesed or mercy, has been so apparent in my life, and literally so many miracles that I just always knew that one day I would write a book, and that I was really fortunate and privileged to be able to do so during this COVID crisis. And that's what it's all about.
That's really beautiful. I love that it's so focused on storytelling. You're telling your story.
Exactly.
And you've been able to share your story then with so many people through the book, but then with your family. I mean, how amazing is that? What is your hope for the book? What do you hope? You shared that just a little bit here towards the end, but what do you hope people get when they pick this book up, they start reading? What's your hope for them?
I sadly think that a lot of people have a very negative view of God for whatever reason.
Yeah, usually it's their story.
Exactly.
Maybe something that happened to them. I
exactly. And
feel that.
Questioning the suffering in the world. And so my hope is that people, when they read this book, will come away and realize that God is good.
Yeah.
That he can even take the tragedies
Absolutely.
that seem insurmountable and bring good out of them. And it's unfortunate that when we do come across difficulties and trials, most people just kind of tend to want to ignore it or just put it behind them.
Right.
And it doesn't work that way.
It doesn't work, no.
No,
it comes back to you.
We're all, we're spirit, we're soul, we're mind,
Yeah.
we're a body. And so my hope, and I share this frequently as I'm speaking at women's groups and churches and helping people along life's road, is that they will understand that they can process those very difficult emotions and that God will be there.
Yes.
And he will help them. And then the miraculous thing is, then they're gone.
Yeah.
And it's not like you have to carry them for the rest of your life. And so I just want people to see that God, like he pursued me, unbeknownst to me for years and years, that he is pursuing them and that he loves them.
I love that. Yeah, I've been talking to some friends and my husband about just diving into your story and how many people, kind of what you just said, like people want to not go back and process things that have happened, that, things they need to grieve, things that are very difficult, or even things they're going through right now.
Exactly.
But that if we do dive into our stories and, process them and allow for healing, that, we can move past them for sure.
Absolutely.
For sure. So that's wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. Go ahead and hold the book up. And we're going to share that. So Chesed,
yes,
mercy, a Jewish woman's discovery of God's mercy. So I think it's beautiful. I love just reading anyone's story. I feel like is so important for us to, just see each other's stories well. So go ahead and share how people are going to be able to get this. This was going to be released September 17th.
correct.
Pre-sales at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Target. Share a little bit more about, you're going to have a book release party.
Absolutely. Yes, thank you for sharing that information. It is available for pre-sale now on those sites and many others as well. The book will actually be released, as you said, on the 17th of September. So September 18th, there is a book release party at Logos Bookstore in Kent.
Okay, great.
I'll be there from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Perfect.
Signing books and greeting people and just being able to bless people.
I love that. And you're also going to be on TCT Today. Tell me what that show is, because I'm actually not sure. And then I'll share the dates and times.
Sure. It's basically not too dissimilar to what we're doing here.
Okay.
It'll be the opportunity to share this story with the TCT audience. TCT is located, their headquarters here in Akron.
Okay.
And their program, I think, is, goes far and wide. And probably similar to you, I think the fact of my Jewish background and the experiences that I had, has piqued their interest. So
Yeah.
I will be interviewed on their television program.
Oh, perfect. All right. And where can people watch that if they want to watch that?
On the TCT channel, which
Okay.
I think probably different, at different times. I'll be interviewed in the morning.
Okay.
But then I think you said you had the time and the date.
Yes. So October 13th, it looks like they're going to play the interview at 1 p.m. and 8 p.m. And then October 14th, which is Thursday, they'll play the interview again at 1 a.m. and 6 a.m. So
Correct.
people have 4 times to watch that as well. It's just a beautiful story. Thank you so much for sharing your story and just for sharing all that God has done in your life. It's really wonderful, and I'm glad that we can just experience that with you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys so much for being here with us today on Akron Buzz. We had a great time. We hope you follow us on Facebook and also subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out our brand new Roku channel. We'll see you guys next time. Bye, everyone.